lost something and you just can't seem to remember where you put it? And you've got something to do, and you need that thing to do it. What'd you say? I still didn't hear. What did he say? He leaves it in the bathroom. Yeah, that's right. Andre already did that this morning. Thank you, Andre, for that great sermon illustration. Maybe you lost your phone, like Andre. Maybe your keys, your wallet, maybe your glasses, and you're searching everywhere for them because you know, I need them, and the clock is still ticking. And each tick of the clock is also a tick of your heart rate just getting a little faster because you know that you're going to be late, and you can't be late. Whatever it is, I don't know why, but you cannot be late. And so you're getting more and more anxious. And as you get more and more anxious, the importance of this item becomes higher and higher until that is the only item that exists in your reality and you're looking everywhere for it. And if you're anything like me, you are throwing things to find it. And it doesn't matter, it's like expensive things. You're just jumping it out and like, where is that thing? And you're now looking around, and if you have a wife, you're saying, why aren't you helping me look? And then she says, help you look for what? Because she has no idea what's going on. You didn't tell her. You just assumed that she would know and just start looking herself. The smartest thing to do if you ever see someone throwing things and looking for something is don't ask them, just start throwing random things too. And they'll just say, thank you. And you just start throwing things because you don't know what they're looking for, but who cares? This is what we're doing. We're throwing things. Now, in this moment, I will admit that I'm not necessarily the greatest husband because I'm so focused on this item that I'm short with my wife. I'm just going to be quick. I might even get angry. Why aren't you looking for this thing? What thing? The worst thing that my wife thankfully now has well learned is not something you say in this moment is, well, do you remember the last place you saw it? Never. It would be better to say my wife looks fat in something for me than someone saying, do you remember the last where you put it? If I remember the last place, do you think I would have checked that place already? It's not like you're the first person to come up with that strategy. I know how I'm supposed to look for things. Now, my problem is I do things all the time without thinking about them with my hands. I have this weird syndrome. I don't know what it's called yet, but I'm sure that doctors have found some classification for it. I am just someone who does things with their hands. And I'm completely unaware. It's like my subconscious is always trying to pull pranks on me. Not only putting things in odd places, but this actually happened once. One time my wife looked at me, and there was this big red marker streak all the way down my forehead, on my nose, and on my lips. And she's like, what is that marker on your forehead? I'm like, what marker on my forehead? There's no marker on my forehead. Yeah, there's this huge streak on your forehead. I looked in the mirror, and sure enough, there was a streak on my forehead. And I'm like, why is that there? And she's like, look at your hands. It's all over your hands. And then I looked down, and I realized that there was this coin that I was holding in my hand that was colored with a red marker thing. What my subconscious tricked me into doing is taking a marker without being aware of it at all and using it to color the coin. I don't know why my subconscious thought this is going to be a really fun one. Let's color the coin, and I colored the coin entirely in red ink and then decided to just roll it down my body in random places. And so I had random streaks. It wasn't just on my forehead. That was just the most obvious one. Different places I was just rolling the coin down. I am pranking myself at this moment. So I lose things all the time, and I never have any conscious awareness of where I put it. And that thing becomes so important. That thing that I have taken for granted all the time, that I use constantly, like my iPhone, my watch, whatever, my keys, I use it constantly, but I never think about how important it is in my life because it's just there. I've been thinking about something the last few weeks, actually. We as people are horrible at assessing value. We like to think that we have common sense, but common sense is the greatest myth that there is out there. It should really be common irrationality. Right? Is that not what you witness if you pay attention to what's common in life? There's this book called Predictable Irrationality, and it's talking about all the ways that we as people have irrational thinking, stupid thinking that we do naturally, without being aware of it, that we fall into unless we are aware of how these traps work and we counterbalance it. And value assessment is one of those things that I think we are inherently really bad at. Because we have this idea that things that are common are things that are worthless. Things that are rare are things that are precious. And that's the basic economics that we live most of our life. And it's stupid. And it's wrong. In fact, most of the things in our life that are rare are not actually very valuable. And the things in your life are the most common, that you're face to face with the most often, are the most valuable things in your life. The mantra that I've had this week, the quote that I've just been saying to myself over and over, is from Crazy Love, the book by Francis Chan, where he says that we should not have fear of failure in life. Rather, we should be fearful of being successful at things that don't really matter. Spending our whole life being really successful of things that are worthless, have no value. And I've thought about that, and part of the reason that that really means something to me is because I have the fear of failure. And that's one of my biggest fears. If anyone ever asked you, like, what is your fear? I'm not afraid of spiders. I'm not afraid of cockroaches, heights, public speaking. Doesn't fear me. But failure scares the living daylights out of me. And I will do things because of that fear of failure that I wouldn't do if I didn't have it. And I will not do things because of that fear of failure. That fear of failing is both a paralyzing fear in the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm not doing. Because I can't stop doing the things that I'm doing because I fear failing them. And I can't start doing some things because I'm fearing trying and then failing them. And so this fear of failure is big for me. And hearing that Francis Chan say that, I thought about that a lot. And I realized he's right. That fear of failure is tiny compared to spending my life being successful at things that are worthless. And yet, when I look through my life, even working as a pastor, you'd think that I would be safe from this. But I can see a lot of things that I do in my life that are collecting things that are completely pointless. I mean, when we look at the permanent thing, there's this thing called, rounding down to the nearest common denominator. When it comes to a lot of things in your life, if you really had an understanding of value, it would be 0. That would be what you round it down to. All the money that you earn in your life rounds down to 0 because it doesn't matter. When you actually start weighing the things with perspective of the things that really do matter in life. In this story that we heard my dad read earlier, there's this woman who lost a coin. She has 10 coins. She still has 9. That's an acceptable loss, 10%. We give that to God, right? Some of us. Doesn't matter. But that's an acceptable loss. Yet she's freaking out, looking for that one lost coin. And that one lost coin has all of a sudden become way more valuable than it would have been if she had it. In fact, before, I can pretty much guarantee that it was just one of the 10. She didn't even think about that coin, but all of a sudden, that coin was an individual coin. That coin was a person, give or take, to her. Now, she couldn't ping it like we can ping our phones now, find them. She couldn't get her flashlight on her phone and look for it there, she had to take a candle and light the candle and kind of put it in the crevice and lift up boards and sweep through things. And she had to move everything in her life to find that one coin. She found the coin, and she was so happy that she had a party. Let's celebrate. This coin that was lost is now found. There's a meme illustration thing that is going around the internet. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's about the person who was wealthy and picked up a penny, and there was someone who was poor and watched them pick up a penny. Have you heard this? Anybody heard this one? A few people? Okay, so there's this thing where there's this rich person, he picks up a penny, and the poor person thought, why did that guy who was rich bother to pick up a penny? Some of the wealthiest people in life, like Bill Gates, they used to talk about if he bent down to pick a $100 bill up, the time it would have taken him to bend down would be a waste of money, because he earns so much money that it's more than $100 that he earns in that whatever 5 seconds it takes him to pick up the $100. Now, I'm sure Bill Gates probably still picks up $100, but this person went and picked up a penny. You can't buy anything with this. It's so worthless that we often just throw it away. I don't collect pennies. I don't even pay attention to pennies. I don't like coins in general, but if it's a penny, it's just like, a quarter, okay. But a penny, what's that worth? So she asked him, why'd you go and pick up that penny? And she said, what does the penny say? United States of America. No, not that. Okay. 1 cent. No, not that. Liberty. Given a little better. No. In God we trust. It says in God we trust. And he says, I pick up that penny because it's a reminder that if I don't trust God in my life, I'll be lost. That if I don't trust God for what matters most in my life, this is a little reminder, because the name of God is precious to me, so I do not let it sit on the ground. And every time I pick it up, I realize that it might be everywhere. See, there's pennies anywhere. Look in your couch cushions. If you don't find a penny, come and talk. I doubt I'm going to have a lot of people come and talk to me, but if you go through all your couch cushions and everything like that, you're either a neat freak and have done that way too much, or you're going to find a penny. And yet, it's a great reminder that it's common, but it's still important. In God we trust. God is everywhere, and He's the most valuable thing in our life. Pretty much any time we are anywhere, in any place in our life, God is within our reach. That's one of the most obvious statements I could make, I guess. But yet, how little of the time do we actually think about that, value it, or reach for it? Things that are so common in life are some of the most precious and important things that we have. Because the problem with us understanding value is that we only appreciate something usually when we can't get to it. When we've lost that thing. People work the same way. When we've lost that person, all of a sudden, we realize just how important they were to our life. I know many of us have lost people along the way. We have people that we might be thinking about right now that mattered so much to our lives that are now gone. We don't think about all the people that we have in our life that are right next to us, maybe sitting right next to us as we speak, that are so important to us because they're there all the time. And so we poorly assess their value. The other illustration, maybe the illustration that was more well known in this verse, is the one about the lost sheep. I love this illustration. One of the things I hate is every time I hear this illustration preached on, they always say the same thing about sheep, which is that they're dumb. Why is Jesus using this? Because sheep are dumb. Sheep are so dumb. Blah, blah, blah. Sheep are dumb. And I love sheep, and it's always not made sense to me that people are calling sheep dumb. Because if you look at sheep, they've got no claws, no sharp teeth. They don't have any huge horns. Some of them have little curly horns, but most of them don't have horns at all. And yet, they have survived. And if they're so dumb, how are they still alive? So I've always thought that that was wrong. And then science came and proved me right. Thank you, science. It's about time. I've been waiting for you to do something helpful for me. Just kidding. That's right. Nowadays, we research everything. So they started to study the intelligence of sheep. And they study the intelligence of sheep, and they found out not only are they intelligent, but they are better at some things than monkeys, and as good at some things than humans. You ever notice we think dogs and cats are intelligent? But if you see a dog or cat that sees its reflection, what does it do? It freaks the heck out. That's right. It freaks the heaven out, right? It's scared. It's like, what's going on? Why is there something that looks like me? That's a dog, by the way, not a cat, in case you're curious. What's there something that looks like me? How is it moving like I'm moving? And it's like, it's dumb. It can't tell. That's you idiot. It's a mirror. Come on, man. Yeah, that's right. Oh, hey, that hurt me. Why did you hurt me? You ran into me. Now, as much as I make fun of a dog for being that stupid, I've done that, actually. Yeah, I had really long hair, and I shaved my head, buzzed it. It was giving it to locks of love, and then I fell asleep. And I woke up the next morning, and I forgot that I had cut my hair, and I walked by a mirror, and I freaked out. There's someone there, and he's moving at the same pace as me, and he's reacting just like me. And then at that moment, I realized, that is me. Oops. But sheep don't do that. Sheep actually recognize faces to a level that I guess even some humans cannot do. They can, in a picture, recognize a face of a friend. They've tested this. A sheep can remember the face of a friend up to 2 years. And they can recognize not only the face of other sheep, which I think is pretty impressive, but even more impressively, they can recognize the face of human beings. They can actually tell who is their shepherd. By just looking at them, they recognize their face. That's how they survived. They know who their friends are. Jesus says in one verse, he said, "The sheep know my voice." So some of you might have seen my Gospel Minute that I did with Kate on this, where Kate and I, on Facebook, we do Gospel Minutes, and I finally got my wife to be in a Gospel Minute because we don't have a sheep that I could use for the video, but we do have a cat. Now, if you know cats, they are not as responsive as sheep are. Sheep follow, sheep flock, sheep obey. Cats do not obey. But there's one thing that's weird about my cat. She doesn't obey no matter what, unless my wife's voice, when she starts singing, she responds to that to an incredible level, where she will run to my wife. And it's crazy. We've videotaped this. We have evidence. But if my wife is sitting on the bed and singing, my cat not only will jump up onto the bed, she will then crawl over to my wife, and she will rub her ear next to my wife's mouth to just listen as close as she can. Talk about front row seating. She wants to be right there. It's like if all of a sudden there was some artist singing, and the person not only jumped on the stage to be like on the stage with whatever, One Direction or anything, but then started rubbing up against their mouth with their ear. Just like, I want to hear. That would be really creepy, but it's just right there because wants to hear that badly. Okay? Maybe I should pick a better singer for that. Who's a good singer? Anybody? Frank Sinatra. Okay, he's dead, but whatever. I guess I'm aging myself here. But Frank Sinatra, right? I just want to be right next here with that velvet voice really sounds like. Yeah, right here, Frank. Give it to me right here. He'd probably give me something else right here, but no, and Frank, that's how much my cat loves my wife's voice. When my mother-in-law is house sitting and cat sitting for us, she will come and the cat will be like, "Oh, who are you? Get away from me," right? And hiss and run away. And then my mother will take her phone out and she'll play a recording of Kate singing. And just hearing that voice, that familiar voice, she will come out of her hiding place. She will jump on Lori's lap, and now she knows that she is safe. That's all she needs to hear is the voice of my wife to know that she is going to be safe. This is a friend. So we decided we're going to do this in the video, and we practiced it because we do the videos live, and you never know what's going to happen live. And sure enough, Ellie runs right away, and then she jumps on Kate's lap. Perfect. Okay, let's do this thing for real. So we went to do it for real, and then what do you think starts happening the moment we press record? It starts raining. And my wife, my cat, I can't tell the difference. My cat, they're both cute. Anyway, my cat is freaked out by rain. She's a scaredy cat. I always tell her, why do you gotta be so stereotypical? Okay? You don't have to fit all the stereotypes. But my cat is scared of the rain. So she freaks out whenever it starts raining. So sure enough, she's there and she does this thing. Like she's inside. She's not gonna get rained on. It's okay. But she does this thing. And she's all freaking out. And she's like, she'll walk like this. Like if somehow that's going to make her safe from the rain, even if she was outside, you're still going to get wet, okay? But she's looking around, hearing the drops, and then looking over and hearing my wife sing. She's got the fear, but she also hears the call. Now I know I'm over-romanticizing this, but that's the moment that we have often in our life. We have the fear. We don't really ever know if a fear is rational, by the way. Cockroaches, mass shootings. We don't know whether a fear is rational or not. Heart attack, death, we don't know. But we've got this fear that in that moment to us is super rational. Just like Ellie's fear of being rained on. And in that fear of life, fear of losing what we think we can hold on to, fear of going in the failure of life, we hear a voice calling to us. A voice saying, "Come." And we've got a choice to make. Well, Ellie had a choice to make. And it wasn't easy for her. She looked up, looked at Kate, looked up, kind of did this, And this is live, by the way, and I'm thinking, come on, cat, get over here. But I'm not saying anything because that's the surest way to get Ellie to run away. I'm trying to stay out of it. She starts making her way a little bit closer. She's like not going in a straight line. She's weaving in and out of the furniture because she won't get as wet that way. And she finally gets close enough to Kate so Kate can pick her up and put her on her lap. Video was a success. Not as what we would have wanted, but she made it there. And pretty much it's fitting to our life, right? We hear the fear, the sound of what we dread coming, but we hear the call. We don't necessarily make our way straight, but we start to walk towards God. And when we get close enough, He picks us up, He puts us on His lap, and He says, "You're safe." If we follow Him. One of the things that I think is easy to accept for me and probably for most of you, is this idea that God loves the world. We've heard that, right? God loves the world. Maybe even God loves the world so much that He sent His only Son to die for it. That's okay. We can accept that. But there's another thing that this verse shares with us that is a little bit harder for us to believe. God doesn't just love humanity, but hate individuals. Have you ever heard that kind of thing? Like, I love people, I just don't like individuals. God loves you. Not just any individual, in fact, because that's what He's saying. He's saying, I'd leave the 100 and find that one. Leave the 99 that are still there and search after the one. Shows that Jesus loves the individual, but not just any individual. He loves the individual that decided to walk away from the flock. He loves the individual that went astray in life, that was distracted, who knows what happened, that didn't explain the backstory on the sheep. Maybe he was just having a bad day, he wanted to be by himself for a little bit. Maybe he saw a butterfly and he started chasing it. And then all of a sudden, he realized that he can't see the herd anymore. And he's far away. And now he's scared and he's alone, and maybe he wants to find, but he can't find where the flock is. We don't know. It doesn't matter, apparently. Apparently, it doesn't matter whether you've made the stupid choices or whether you've just had life crap on you so much that you feel like you're not worth it. Apparently, it doesn't matter. Either way, Jesus leaves the 99 and comes for you. It doesn't matter that there are so many others, because that's what the world says. There's 7 billion people. And you think you matter? You're just another penny. You're just as worthless as a penny, as common as a penny. That's what the world says to us. What does it matter? Tossed you aside. We got more. That's what the world says to us. If you're broken, if you're lost, you're dysfunctional. I've heard this in the church, by the way, too. I've heard people say to me that I spend too much time going out and trying to help people who are broken because they'll never make it. Really? You think you'll never make it? You think you're not good enough? You think that you're just common? That's what the world tells us. That's what our human ability to value and rationality tells us. But that's not what our God tells us. That's not what Jesus says. Jesus says is that one that's gone astray, that's lost, that's broken, that's hurting, that's in pain, that can't find its way back, that's the one that I will die for. That's the one that I would give my life for. See, this world might see you as just another penny, but God sees you as His. He sees you as what He died for, and what He lives for, and what He wants to see totally redeemed. He sees you as worth beyond all of the treasures of this world, and He will go out to find you. Even when you run away, His love never fails. Have you ever been to a funeral, at a military funeral? Have you ever seen where they do the call? It's one of the most moving things. They'll do a roll call. Luke, you can pick up a penny if you want. They'll do this roll call, and they'll call all the people that are there, and then finally the person that they're doing the funeral for. And they'll say it, and you hear the voice, the name called out, but no answer. Again, the voice is called out, the name is called out, and no answer. The penny that is gone is lost. 15 years ago, 9/11, our country was attacked by people that thought they understood value, but they had no idea what true value was. And we lost people as a country. We lost people that their names are now gone, taken out. And in that split second, when we first heard the news, we remember it, right? We remember where we were. And all of a sudden, life became meaningful. For a while. For a glimpse, we saw the things in our lives that were so precious and so meaningful, yet everywhere we looked. For a moment, we realized the relationships that we had that we never knew whether they were going to be there the next day. We didn't know what the future was. We were scared, but we understood value. And do you know that, of course, church attendance rose heavily for a period. And then eventually we went back to valuing things the same way we always do. We went back to seeing life just according to our own standard of what is important. So I don't know. But today, I want us to just wake up from that for a moment. I know Monday is going to come, maybe not even Monday, maybe later this afternoon, and we're going to be in the heat of the moment, looking for things in our life, on our schedule, and we're going to start valuing things differently again. But for this moment, I want us to stop and to think about what matters most in our life. I want us to stop and to think about what is most precious in our lives. I know when I do, I think about my wife, my family, which, by the way, is all of you. I think about the people that God has given me in my life, the precious gifts. I think about the opportunities that God has given me in my life, like being able to go out to other broken people. And I say other because I am too. And to be able to meet them, to hear their stories, and to learn just a little bit more of their value to God as they grow in their value to me. We're going to have communion in a second, and before we do, they're on the way to communion. We have a little bowl that's right on the ground there. And it's got a bunch of pennies in it. Worthless pennies. It's $1, in case you want to steal it. You're going to take all of them. I got all the pennies. Ha ha. Right? And you can see what $1 can buy you. But it's also helpful as a reminder. And that's what I want us to do with it today. I want us to pick one up, and if you can't physically pick one up, have someone pick one up for you, because we're a community and we help each other. But I want each of us to pick up a penny. And I want us to read the words, "In God we trust," on the penny. And as we do it, I want us to remember that trusting God for what's valuable means listening to Him on what He pays for. See, something is as valuable as we pay for it, right? I could say it's something, a car is super valuable, but if the most anyone wants to pay for it is like $1,000, that's its value. And how much was paid for you? What's your value? That's how you assess your value. I know your value. The one Son of God, Jesus Christ, paid His blood, left the 99, came out looking for you, and He's calling your name. Do you hear it? He's calling your name, and he's saying, I want you to come and be part of my family. I want to pick you up. I want to put you over my shoulders and bring you to safety. I want you to rest in my lap because I love you.